Hello, 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 my little chicken nuggets. Welcome to episode 3 of the Growth Spurt Podcast. Today we are doing a solo-sode, which means it's just me, but we're going to talk about a really important topic, really fun topic. We're going to talk about change and embracing change. So we're going to dive into this topic because it affects everybody. Everybody comes up to a point in their life where they have to pivot and change, or, maybe there's an opportunity to stay the same, but that doesn't allow for growth in your life. So oftentimes we're given two decisions. We're given a decision to really pull up our pants and grow in a certain direction, or we're given a choice to stay complacent, stay settled in this area of our life that's maybe not serving us, whether it's a career change, a relationship, ending possibly, move to a new city. And while change can be super exciting, it can also be really, really challenging, very challenging. And yeah, so we're going to talk about some different strategies, some insights for embracing change with grace and confidence. I just think this is a really important topic because this is something that we deal with all the time. Okay. So let's kind of start by talking about why change is so challenging for so many people and what are some common reasons for making us resistant to change. I think change often brings uncertainty and fear. Well, I don't think that. I know that. I know that it brings uncertainty and fear of the unknown. A lot of this fear and uncertainty generally comes from, well, we naturally gravitate towards what's familiar and comfortable, even though it may no longer serve us. And the reason for that being is because our subconscious and our nervous system is wired to love the familiar. So, how does that work? What does that mean? Well, from a very young age, we are programmed and wired to do the same patterns, to do the same thing, to stay familiar because our subconscious is wired and programmed for safety and survival. So it loves the familiar. It loves what it knows. It loves what will keep it safe and surviving. But oftentimes, the familiar doesn't serve us. Oftentimes, it doesn't serve the best quality of life. We're not fighting the fight we used to years ago. So that nervous system doesn't support us the same way that it used to when we used to have common threats of animals and weather and things like that way back in the day. So this fear of unfamiliarity is because our nervous system is like putting up red flags and is fighting the unfamiliar. So it's not just that you're scared of this change, it's that you're literally fighting your internal nervous system to say, hey, it's okay, I'm safe. I understand that my nervous system feels unsafe because my subconscious has told it that it's not safe to do something unfamiliar. But the reality is that I am safe. I am safe to make this change. I am safe and totally capable. So I think that's a big thing that you're fighting against when making these changes. And, as women, we also feel such a societal pressure to maintain stability and balance in our lives, which can make change seem really daunting. And additionally, if you've experienced failures in the past with change or, perceived lack of control, that can really contribute to this resistance, and that past failure can contribute to your subconscious training your nervous system to tell you that you're not safe in order to make this change. So I'm not undermining how hard change is to make because it's freaking hard. And, it's harder depending on what you've had come up in your life. It's harder depending on how your nervous system is trained and how Your subconscious is trained. So these things are really, really important to take a look at and understand so that you can make a change going forward. So, how can we actually shift our mindset to embrace change instead of fearing it? And, when it comes down to it, it really comes down to shifting your subconscious, shifting your nervous system. It takes a lot of work. Mindset plays a crucial role in navigating change. And I see people all the time get stuck in a mundane job, stuck in a mundane relationship, stuck in whatever they're doing and they're not happy because the change seems so much scarier than actually staying in this not great life, in this, whatever it may be. I talk to people and they have trauma that they haven't dealt with, but the change is so much scarier than dealing with it. So they would rather go through their life repeating these cycles of having unfulfilling relationships, being broke, being unhappy. They would rather that than make the change in their life, which I find so crazy and so incredibly sad that it's been normalized to, just put up with and deal with the cards that you've been dealt rather than deal with your shit, fix your shit, and live a happy life, you know? So many women have issues with communicating. They have their wall up. They have a hard time expressing emotions. They are burnt out and overworked and have no boundaries. And they just think that's the way life is. I don't know how to change this, or changing this is so much scarier than actually continuing to run this cycle. Run this cycle of being single, being unhappy, being overworked, not being able to communicate, which is so incredibly sad because if you take one step forward, you'll see it's going to be okay. And it's so fucking worth it. Anyways, we can totally reframe our mind and reframe change as a chance to learn. And while sometimes we're forced into change, maybe our boyfriend breaks up with us, maybe we get fired, maybe whatever it may be, sometimes we're forced into that change and we just have to either, step up to that level or our life kind of crumbles a bit. Or, you know, we're living a life that could really use some change, but we are not growing the kahunas to make it happen. So, part of both of these options is reframing the change as a chance to learn, evolve, and discover new possibilities. It's really, really important to cultivate self-compassion during this time, cultivate and remind ourselves that we have successfully overcome so much change in our past that we're so capable of doing it in the future. A big part of embracing change is building your confidence that you can take that step forward, that you can make that leap. A big reason why people don't make change is because they really lack the confidence to make that step and make that leap. In order to build that confidence, you have to build proof that you're capable. Build proof of that it's happened. Alex Hormozy says this quote all the time that, you don't build confidence by shouting affirmations in the mirror. You build confidence by having a stack of undeniable proof. Okay? So we do have a stack of undeniable proof. Everybody does. It does not matter who you are. You have undergone some change in your life to some capacity. So when you're coming up against an opportunity to make change in your life, like I said, whether it's being forced upon you or you have, a decision to make, I encourage you to think about all of the past things that you have gone through, all of the different changes you have endured, and you have succeeded on the other side. You have confidently worked through it, gotten through it, and succeeded, achieved the change. By focusing on the positives, by focusing on how you successfully made it through all of these changes, you're showing yourself the proof. You're showing yourself that you can be confident in your abilities to make change happen. And this also helps you envision the benefits that change can bring because you've had so many opportunities in your life where change has brought positive impact. So this can really help shift your mindset and open yourself to new experiences rather than just, being like a turtle your entire life, being freaking terrified in your shell, so scared of change, unwilling to make change, yet you kind of live a shitty life, you know? So I want you to contemplate and really think really hard on the life you're living. If you keep living that same life for the next 5 years or whatever that is, are you going to be happy where you're at in 5 years? If you keep going down the road you're going right now, will you be happy 5 years from now? If the answer is no, then absolutely make some change. Absolutely take the step to make change because you're so capable. You're so, so, so capable of changing your life. And I want to just have a bit of a sidebar, but a lot of people don't think truly that they have control over their life. And this stems from a victim mentality. And I think that that is a massive issue with today's society is so many people are walking around with a victim mentality. They're walking around with a mentality that this happened to me. This happened to me. This happened to me. This happened to me. Whatever it may be. Instead of taking responsibility for your life, when you can step into a role of truly taking responsibility for your life, that allows you to take action. Victim mentality is trash. Victim mentality is not going to get you anywhere. I don't care what you've been through in your life. You may actually be a victim. You may actually have gone through some mad shit. But to carry that victim mentality for your whole life and say, I can't do anything because this happened to me. It's a poor excuse. It's a poor excuse of a way to live your life. You need to start shifting your perspective and thinking, okay, what's my role in this? What responsibility do I have in my life? This happened to me, but how can I change this? How could I have prevented that? Start getting really critical about the responsibility that you hold in your life. And truly, when you start to recognize that you have responsibility over life, you have control over your life, that will build your confidence to make change because you have control over your life rather than, I have no control. I can't do anything. Whatever happens to me is going to happen, fate, la-di-da-di-da, all of that. Instead of taking some responsibility, making things happen, taking control of your life because you are in control of your life. It does not matter what your circumstances are. If someone else in the exact same circumstances has reached what the goal is that you want to reach in their life, then your circumstances are an excuse. And that might sound harsh. That might sound really harsh. And, I'm not denying the fact that some people have been through the absolute gutter, the absolute shit. Okay. I'm not denying that. And I'm not saying that for some people it may be harder depending on their circumstances. But what I am saying is that, whatever it is, I hear it all the time. Something along the lines of, oh, well, I'm a woman, so I can't do that. Or I'm a single mom, so I can't do that. And I'm not denying the fact that being a single mom doesn't make it extremely hard to achieve a certain goal or XYZ. But how many other single moms have reached the exact same goal that you want to get to? How many other people in the exact same specific circumstance, have reached the goals that you want to get to and made the change in their life? The difference is they've been willing to take responsibility. They've been willing to take control of their life, step out of their comfort zone, and get out of victim mode. So I encourage you to think about that. Are you using an excuse and keeping yourself in victim mode? Or are you taking responsibility for your life and taking action? Because it's one or the other. So what are some actual practical strategies that we can implement to navigate transitions and change with grace and with confidence. Number one for me is get help. Get help, and I don't mean go to your friends. I don't mean go to your family. I mean, hire a coach in the field that you need. If you are going through a divorce or if it's relationship related, hire a relationship coach. Hire a really good relationship coach. If it's finances, if you need to make a change in your finances or business or whatever it may be, hire a specific coach in the field that you need, and don't take advice from people that aren't where you want to be. And that's why I say hire a coach, because you want to hire someone in your field who has done what you want to do or has achieved what you want, has expertise in where you're wanting to go. And that's the first step. That's if you can have the courage to hire someone to help you, then your growth already is expedited immensely. So I would say that is number one, is get outside help, because it's really hard to make big changes in your life alone, especially because you haven't done it before. Hindsight is 2020. So number one, hire a coach. Number two, do not take advice from anybody who is not where you want to be in that specific field. People love to give advice. Love, love, love to give advice in areas that they don't know, in areas that they are not an expertise. I'm not going to take advice from people that I wouldn't trade shoes with in that field. You're not going to take financial advice from a homeless person. You're not going to take relationship advice from someone who can't keep a relationship. You're not, that's not the case. So don't take advice from anyone. Take advice from the top of the top of the top. Okay? If you can't hire a coach, start learning, start teaching yourself in this field that you want to be changing. Start listening to books, start listening to podcasts in this field that you want to dive into. Or, whether if you're leaving a relationship, if you're changing, if you want to invest, if you're wanting to start a business, whatever that is, there is so much information out there for you to learn from. So if a coach is really off the table, while I think it's the number one most beneficial thing to do is hire a coach, if that's something you absolutely refuse to do, then your next best bet is getting insane about your education in the area of work. And I don't mean like go get a degree. I mean dive deep in books, in, podcasts, courses. The other thing too that's going to really help you with making a change in your life is being very mindful. Having mindfulness, spending time meditating on your change, spending time journaling on your change, really getting into a mindful state so that you can think clearly and think like, is this the direction I want to go? Try really, really to be intentional about being mindful so that you can listen to your intuition. It's really hard to listen to your intuition and listen to what change you want to make in your life when there's so much going on up here, when you don't give yourself space or time to think. So I encourage you to spend a little bit of time every day being mindful, journaling about this direction or way you want to go, or, spend a little bit of time doing a brain dump about pros and cons or that kind of thing. The other thing I would love to recommend too, this is beneficial for anything in your life. I think it's beneficial and adds value to everything and anything you do. But in order to really think clearly about making a change, your energy has to be sharp. Your brain has to be sharp. In order for that to be the case, you have to be exercising. You have to be eating a clean diet, a whole foods diet. I personally love eating animal-based. I might do like a whole nother podcast on that, but I personally love eating animal-based. I exercise 5 times a week. I go for a walk every morning. Keep your brain in top shape so that it's comfortable making these changes. So you're not foggy, you're not anxiety brained, because if you are inducive to anxiety, it's going to be a lot harder to make these changes in your life. And the way to help your anxiety is by dealing with it with regulating your nervous system. And how do we regulate our nervous system? Well, exercise, diet, our mindfulness, taking time to be really mindful, hot and cold therapy, all of these things, this is more longevity. This is more long term. These are things you build up over time. You build these habits so that when you're making changes in the future, it's easier. It comes easier to you. But short term, spend some time being mindful, writing out your pros and cons list, get help from a professional, and get educated in the area that you are wanting to dive deep into. So, yeah, I think that those are the main points that, I think are really crucial for helping you go through change, helping you transition through change with confidence, with grace. So how can we leverage change as an opportunity for personal growth and transformation rather than something that causes us to crumble or, something that is just not maybe great? And I think that change presents a really unique opportunity for self-reflection and self-discovery. An example of this is after you go through a breakup, oftentimes you have a really, really big breakthrough with yourself. You discover so much about who you are as a person and, what areas you may be lacking. So, when you're going through change, use this time to assess your values, your passions, and your aspirations. Consider what changes align with who you are authentically and explore these new interests. Take time to try new things, explore your new interests and finding, what aligns with you. Whether it is, after you go through a breakup, you're going through these changes, you're figuring out what works for you. So take that time to really discover and figure out what kind of person you want to be with. Get so specific and so clear on who you want to be with. And, if it's a career change, use this time to figure out what aligns with you and what fires you up. Use this time to figure out what you're passionate about and what you want to do going forward. So embrace this discomfort because sometimes change is not fun. Sometimes it's extremely uncomfortable. When we lose someone that we love, that grief, that's not comfortable. That's extremely uncomfortable. And I'm not undermining how awful that is. I've been there. That grief is insanely uncomfortable. But if you can give yourself grace and just really accept the discomfort that accompanies that and comes with that, it's a sign of growth rather than locking that discomfort up in a cage and coping through other mechanisms such as, alcohol, drugs, food, porn, all of these things. Sometimes when we're going through change, we refuse to admit the change. We refuse to feel this discomfort and we decide to cope using mechanisms. Someone loses a family member and they go off the deep end using drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism while making a bigger issue in their life rather than dealing with the change and dealing with that discomfort. And that's a whole nother topic. But I do think that when change comes upon you, you have two choices. You have a choice to level up your life, change your life, and use it as a productive, positive growth opportunity. Or you have the choice to fall down to crumble and maybe cope and not allow the change to happen and have full on resistance to it. And when you resist what's inevitable to happen, it never goes well. So just remember that the most significant transformations often occur outside the comfort zone. It's not going to feel comfortable to make massive changes in your life. It's going to feel pretty uncomfortable because, like I said, our nervous system loves the familiar. So getting outside our comfort zone, getting uncomfortable is uncomfortable because our nervous system is saying, hey, what the hell are you doing? This does not, this is not familiar. I don't know what's going on. But, it's getting comfortable saying to your nervous system, it's okay, babe. We're fine. Let's settle down. I'm safe, you know? And once you get so comfortable with that, with feeling uncomfortable, your confidence skyrockets and you're willing to make bigger and bigger risks and changes in your life, and you will watch yourself bloom. So I want to kind of wrap this up, but by saying, embracing change is not easy. It's incredibly hard, but just remember that you do have the strength and the resilience to navigate any change, anything. If something is put upon your path to make a change, if you're given an opportunity for change or something negative happens in your path, you're given that because you have the tools to deal with it. You wouldn't be given that opportunity if you didn't have the tools to deal with it. So trust yourself and trust the process, and surround yourself with the best people. Surround yourself with positive influences that will aid you and help you get where you want to go. Cut out the people that are pulling on your energy and cutting and pulling you down. Celebrate every small little change that you obtain. Celebrate every little win so that it's a stack of undeniable proof for you. It builds your confidence so change becomes easier. Change is an invitation to create the life that you desire. So embrace it wholeheartedly. Just remember that it's an opportunity for growth and personal transformation. I understand that is really hard to keep in mind when you're going through extremely hard circumstances. But remember that you are safe. You have the ability to embrace it with confidence and, absolutely watch yourself soar. So thank you so much for listening to that. I hope that this helps you embrace some change in your life. I hope this helps you get the courage to step out of your comfort zone and make things happen in your life because, like I said, you have the control. You can do it. But that's that. So thank you all so much for listening. And that is where we are going to end it today. If you are loving this podcast, I encourage you, please subscribe to it and write a review if you can. That would be really, really amazing for me. I'm putting my time into this so that I can show up and add value to the people around me and really, really help others be on a journey of growth. And it would mean the world to me to have support from some of you. So thank you so much. And I hope you tune into the next episode.